Hey everybody, it's Angela, and I'm here to do a little bit of a project share. I have finished the section in my childhood album that is like food and candy, so I thought there might be some inspiration for people to take a look at this and maybe get some ideas. So I started out with food, and I had a couple of my own pictures, my mom in the kitchen, and then like a Thanksgiving scene at my grandparents' house, because most of our meals were home cooked and my mom canned and stuff like that. But we did use a lot of convenience foods, and we did try a lot of the stuff that was coming in the 70s and 80s that were kind of fun and are kind of retro now, and some that are, still being produced today. So what I did was I put these two, just kind of explaining that. And then one of the things I put were TV dinners. And when TV dinners, started, they were in the metal trays because you put them in your oven, and they had foil over the top. And we didn't have a microwave or anything yet, so we did them in the oven. So I talk about that. My favorite ones were like the turkey, I think, was my favorite, and then the Salisbury steak I enjoyed as well. After we got a microwave, microwaves come in fashion, we'd get these other ones, these Le Menus. I loved these. They were on a plastic plate, and we would always reuse the plates and stuff, but I don't think they make these anymore. We'd get these pizzas that, these were like really cheap, not very good pizzas. But they were what was available, and it was fun to have pizza when you couldn't go out to a restaurant to get it. I don't know why we didn't make them from scratch at home, but I, as a kid, didn't even think about the fact that you could make a pizza at home. We just, if you wanted it at home, you bought a frozen one. So this was a brand that we would get pretty often. And then there was always the Jolly Green Giant and Bird's Eye were the two vegetable ones that we had the most of. And the vegetables, I think some of them still do come in boxes, but now they favor putting them in bags. But we always, all the vegetables seem to, as I remember, come in boxes with like a waxy paper wrapper around it with the logo and stuff on there. So those were the kinds of things we would eat occasionally. But like I said, my mom canned most of our vegetables, so that's what we ate most of the time. And then Hot Pockets became something you could use with a microwave. So as kids, that was easy for us to make ourselves. And so we used those. And then my favorite were these boxes of a Chef Boyardee dinner. So it came with the spaghetti noodles, uncooked dried noodles, and then it had a can of sauce and a small can of Parmesan cheese. So not the great, this is Chef Boyardee, so not the greatest, but as a kid, I loved that. I loved making those myself, and because spaghetti was always my favorite food. I put in here Velveeta. We would get that. Now it's, it's just totally not cheese. I'm not exactly sure what it is. But yeah, we would eat that, and we would pair it with Oscar Mayer stuff with hot dogs that you would cut in half and then put it in a toaster oven. We had a toaster oven, and make sandwiches like that. And so I talk about all of that. And then again, Hamburger Helper, Muggo Lunch. I'm pretty sure they don't make these anymore. These were icky. The Hamburger Helper wasn't bad because you could add stuff to it. And then the Lipton Cup of Soups, frozen fish sticks. I'm sure they still make frozen fish sticks. I don't buy much frozen pre-made food, so I don't know. But as kids, we would make these. We'd put them in the toaster oven and make those. Spam, the best part of it was the little key that was on the bottom of the can that we'd pop off and use to open the can with. That was always fun. And then we didn't really have access to Chinese food. That was something, there just wasn't a lot of even Chinese restaurants. And as that became more popular, we tried Chinese food at a restaurant and I liked it. And we didn't know how to make it at home, I guess. So we'd get these things like a frozen one that you heated up in the oven, or because it came in a metal container, and or these cans of like chop suey and chicken chow mein. And I always like these that had the two different cans, the sauce and the veg. And yeah, it was not very good, but it was the only thing I knew of Chinese food back then. It just wasn't around as much, at least where we lived, because it was more rural. So this was the kind of Chinese food I had access to. And then, of course, you know, Campbell's, which is still around. I remember just always heating up condensed soup in a little saucepan on the stove because, again, like I said, we didn't have a microwave yet. And then I hated liver, but I would eat this liverwurst. I don't know why, but I really liked that as a kid. And, of course, you know, there's the Charlie tuna from Starkist. And what I tried to do is I didn't want this to be just the individual things in here. I tried to break it up with some of the logos. So I got the Chongqing logo guy, the Starkist tuna. I tried to sometimes cut out the image itself instead of having just a square and do stuff like that. I added some different stickers in here with sayings on them and stuff just to kind of break it up. So if you're doing this, if you're doing this for yourself or for like your future self, you might want to take pictures of your favorite foods or brands that you're getting, because those kind of come and go. And I wish I had more pictures of my mom making food in the kitchen, or, you know, we just didn't take very many photographs back then because it was expensive. But nowadays, you know, you could document this much more and think about taking pictures of the brands and stuff, because what you're experiencing now will become retro in the future or for your kids. And you don't have to necessarily print out all the photos, just, you know, kind of keep them on your computer. So when you want to do a project like this, you can. Again, here's a logo. I incorporated logos in here. Lots of little like label stickers. I've got a puffy sticker of a pizza in here, some other little sayings and stuff, just to kind of break up having blotches of product photos, because I got the product photos all off of the internet. These were the only two photos of mine that I had that kind of represented this. So in order to talk about all this, I had to take my photos off the internet, but you might be able to have your own photos ready to go. So that's kind of a lot of the food stuffs. And then I have this partial page, the short page of bread. And we would get a lot of times the Wonder Bread. And they had, in the Wonder Bread, they had trading card packets. Like here is a Wonder Bread ad for Close Encounters of the Third Kind trading cards. And here are two of the actual trading cards. I would always save the trading cards, and I still have them today. I have a shoebox full of different trading cards. So I have these two. And then here's the ad for Wonder Bread ad for the Star Wars, because that had just come out. And so I have a couple of the Star Wars cards here. And these are my own cards, and I just put them in here. And then the other bread we would buy was Fran's bread. They were based here in Oregon, so they did the Oregon basketball teams, the Portland Trailblazers. And so this was in the 1987 is when these cards were. And yeah, so they did a local trading card. So I have a bunch of these. I have tons of these Star Wars cards and stuff. And again, baseball and basketball and all that kind of stuff. So I just thought I'd go ahead and put some of the cards in here to record that, since I didn't have any particular photos to include. On the breakfast cereals, I have a picture just of me and my brother sitting at the bar where we'd have breakfast in the morning, and our little dog is down there who would clean up after us, anything that fell on the floor. So that was the only picture I had. So all the rest of these are off the internet. Just again, I tried to put the logo of the Frankenberry and Tony the Tiger, or the saying that the toucan would say a lot. And again, more little little labels and a puffy sticker and some tile letters, just to kind of break up having just all these products and stuff. So I went ahead and journaled on those. I had found some pictures of toys. I remember these. There's a couple in here that, like these little rulers and stuff, we did get. Some of these in this picture might be Cracker Jack toys, but they do have some cereal box toys in here. These I remember particularly coming in the cereal boxes, and my brother putting them together. So I have that. On this side, I didn't have any of my, oh, I do have one of my own pictures. We still have this bottle cap, and you'd slip this over the neck of the bottle and then use this to cover it. So if you didn't drink the whole bottle, this would help keep it fresh to have this cap. So we always had some of these around, and this is one that my husband and I still have in our kitchen junk drawer. So I had a picture of that. And then Tab was the type of soda we had at my house, but when we were out and stuff, we'd get to have Orange Crush. I have all these different, just the different types of canned sodas. Squirt was another soda we had, so I found the logo for him. And the Pop Shop, we had a gas station that would sell the crates of Pop Shop Pop, which our neighbor would get, and so he'd let me have some of those, and they had all those different flavors. Tang was something that we had at our house that my brother and I would drink along with Kool-Aid. And also we had two different kinds of punches, the High C and the Hawaiian punch. I think drank more High C than Hawaiian, but those were two that we had access to. And then for chocolate milk, we always used Nestle's Quick. I should have found the logo for the bunny, but I didn't really have room to put it anyway. And then my dad would drink this Sanka and put little things of saccharin in there as sweetener. I remember making those for him as a kid because he'd drink coffee while we watched cartoons together on Saturday morning. And then these other last breakfast items were these Carnation breakfast bars, and then of course the Pop-Tarts. And I went ahead and put a logo of the Pop-Tart toaster mascot there. And so that kind of does like breakfasts and sodas and drinks, I guess. And then after that, I went on to like pastries and kind of ice cream type things. Hostess was a big one. I talk about which the Hostess pies I like the best. I've got some puffy stickers here. I've got Twinkie the Kid logo and the Captain Cupcake logo on here, talking about all those. There's the Ding Dong, King Ding Dong there. And so I have all those on there. And then the Jell-O was a big one. We'd make Jell-O. I don't think we ever made one of these cakes, but my grandma would make these Jell-O, those poke cakes. And Franz, again, that made the Franz bread because they were here in the Portland area in Oregon. We'd get their Franz donuts quite often. And then for the ice cream, we had mostly just the Hershey's syrup. But every once in a while, my mom would buy a box of these waffle cones, and so we could make ice cream cones. And then later, when we got older, Smucker's came out with this magic shell, and so we'd sometimes be able to get that to put on top of our ice cream. A lot of the times, the ice cream that we had was just this Neapolitan, and we'd get the little Dixie cups with the orange flavoring in the little wooden spoon. And again, I've got puffy stickers of ice cream cones, strawberries, oranges, and stuff like that. Some little labels. I even put some little donuts down this little puffy sticker donuts. And they're pretty subtle on there. I put these for the flavorings. And then here we tried one time, it was like a thing they did for a while with astronauts. They did the astronaut ice cream, which was freeze-dried ice cream, and that was the first time I'd tried anything freeze-dried, so that memory stuck with me. We only did it once, but the memory stayed with me. And then when they came out with the Pringles potato chips, to have potato chips in a tube like that was really kind of a newfangled thing. So, you know, when your kids, you might want to take pictures of their favorite treats that they eat, maybe pictures of them eating them, stuff like that. It's always fun to keep those memories. And then into cookies. A lot of these cookies are all still ones they make. So I just kind of talk about them. They may not make these anymore, these ideal bars. But I loved those. I remember when they came out with double stuff, when that was new. I don't know if they still make Mallow Mars or not. It was like a marshmallow on top of a cookie with chocolate over the top. These I know they still make. This they still make. And I couldn't find many like logos for these, so I went ahead. I had this sticker for like card making, and so I went ahead and put the cookies and milk on this one. I had like a milk cap and just some other small stickers that I went ahead and included in here. And then I talk about the Jiffy Pop. We did that a couple of times. That was so much fun. And then these Hunt's snack pack pudding packs. I don't think they make these anymore, but I really liked those as a kid because it was so much easier than making the pudding yourself in the refrigerator. So that is all the ice cream and cookies. And then the last page here is candy. So most of these they still make, or they make them as like nostalgia brands. You can find them as nostalgia things. Because I think I've seen marathon bars in kind of a nostalgia pack and stuff like that. Candied necklaces. They might not make chiclets anymore. I'm not sure. You'll have to let me know if these aren't being made or which ones are your favorite. I have some gums here. I like the fruit stripe. The flavor didn't last very long. And I like the Gold Rocks. And of course I've got the Tootsie Pop with the commercial for the Tootsie Pop owl. And yeah, and then I have Reese's, and I talk about how this is still my favorite candy and stuff, but I'm pretty sure they still make all these. And then on the other side, we love to get these Lifesaver books at Christmas. That was a big treat. Sometimes I'd get these cartons of Whoppers for Christmas. I remember when Pop Rocks came out, that was kind of a thing. And then we had these little hard candies that were similar to Pez, but they were like garbage candy and skeleton candy that came in a coffin and stuff. I mean, very gives you an appetite, doesn't it? And yeah, and then the Pez, I mean, Pez did not taste good, but I mean, we got it for the dispenser, right? So I still have about, half a dozen or more of my old Pez dispensers still. And then this bubblegum hamburger that would come in a little hamburger box. And I don't know if they make too many wax candies anymore. I'd get wax lips, wax harmonicas, other things waxed, and that had like liquid inside of it and stuff, and then you'd chew on the wax. I don't know if they still do that or not. And then, of course, I know they don't make the candy cigarettes that would have like the powdered sugar or cornstarch in them, that so when you would blow through it, it would poof the cornstarch out and make it look like smoke. So, I mean, I knew as a kid it was just a gimmicky, fun thing. I never took up smoking because of it, but I can kind of see their concern there, though. And, of course, Neckos, Pixie Sticks, Flicks, all these things I think are still available. And that is all of the candy. So that does my food to candy stuff that I remember as a kid that's kind of nostalgic to me. Some of the things, like I said, are still available, and some of them, you know, are gone forever. So yeah, it might give you ideas of things that you would want to take pictures of today if you're going to make this for yourself or your kids. Things you might want to be searching for on the internet. And I just wish I would have had more of my own original photos to go with this. Because this is great and everything, but this really tells the story. I like having both of them actually together. The pictures of us enjoying these things, and then the logos, because the branding is what we remember. And all the cartoon characters, the, like on the, where'd he go? This little Oscar Mayer, I mean, we all know how to spell the word baloney because of the Oscar Mayer. And we know the Oscar Mayer hot dog song and the baloney song and a lot of these things like Ho Ho Ho, Green Giant. I mean, we all remember that. It's their commercials worked because, at least to me, they brainwashed me to still remember it to this day. And yeah, so it's fun to include both my own photos and the logos and branding, but I just wish I had more of my own photos. So anyway, that is my food and, of course, candy and desserts as a kid. That's what you remember more of, right? And section of my childhood album. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions on this, ask them down below. And if you remember any of these, or can tell me your favorite candy bars and whatnot down below, that would be awesome. And I will see you guys in the next video. Talk to you later. Bye.